Hello and welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to the Place to Be Reviews, Etep right here with all of yous. And I promised you a Blood Salvage review yesterday. Look, beers were drank, and we kind of got distracted. But I say we because I'm joined today by my guest for this. And he is none other than one of the original members of the Place to Be Reviews cast. Ladies and gentlemen, Coach Loudy.
How you doing, everyone? Long time no see. It's been a long time since I've been in the place to be, but here I am.
In the flesh this time.
In the flesh,
In
baby.
the flesh. This is fantastic. So I made Loudy suffer through Blood Salvage with me last night.
It was a movie. There were actors in it, and it had a storyline. It was a movie.
Yeah,
sure.
But there was... Okay, so starting off with this movie was released in 1990. No cinematic release. This was a straight-to-video. And the director of this only has this and another one other credit, and I don't wonder why after watching this movie for the umpteenth time.
Fucking no.
I have seen this movie literally no less than 15 times in my life. It came out, like I said, I rented it on VHS as a kid, and there was something about it, and it's that horror comedy, which is the saving grace of this movie, because if you relied on the horror, there is a couple deaths in this movie, and there's literally no gore.
No.
What you do see is some decent practical effects when it comes to what's the character, Jake Pruitt, in his House of Horrors, his black market organ trading or selling ring he's running.
He's a trained professional.
He is a trained. He did. He's like, I'm a trained professional. I can't have anything happen to these hands. And it's like, a trained professional, you say? Well, that's odd. You operate out of a barn, and your security system is a crocodile.
Well, he's a trained professional if you think about in the medical terms of, say, 1846 or 1864 even.
1864. This is a Civil War style doctor.
Yes.
So this movie stars, we have Danny Nelson, Lori Birdsong, John Saxon, who I want to know how they got John Saxon to agree to be in this movie.
Probably because he knew he wasn't going to last very long.
Like, it's you look at John Saxon in the movies he's been in, and it's like, Blood Salvage? Like, really? You ended up in this? But
yeah.
I mean, hey, here he was playing Clifford Evans, who his wife, Pat, is played by Laura White, and their son, Bobby, by Andy Greenway, with no other acting credits.
None.
Which was not a surprise.
It's fine.
Because I was never more happy to see a character die, especially a kid, than Bobby. Like,
honestly, like, there's no attachment to him.
No.
None whatsoever. It's like, you don't know he exists until they get in the RV.
Mm-hmm.
And then once you get in the RV, it's just like, he's so annoying.
And they don't care. Like, the parents just let him go running off. First, they let him ride in the tow truck with Jake. And that's like, yeah, ride with this mincing pedophile.
Yes. Oh, God. Big pedo vibes, bro.
Oh, Jesus. And it starts out with, if you've never seen this movie, you have a newly disabled girl who is a pageant contestant. And her parents are, she's competing in this pageant for Miss Stonewall County. This takes place in Georgia. And it's a very small town.
Yes.
And the Jake character, who is our main antagonist in this movie, is in the front row of this pageant, like, standing up, staring at her the entire time. Like, that's not fucking creepy.
Like, there was no security at this event whatsoever. No. None. There were no bouncers, no security. The one police officer was too busy dealing with Hiram.
Which is a great scene because he's underneath the RV. And then he just comes sliding out like he's on, like, one of those creepers. You would work on cars within a garage. And then he's on the dirt ground. And it looks so smooth when he gets pulled out. It's like, yeah, he was on a slide or something.
He goes straight from sliding to standing up just like that. And it's just like, how?
And then the cop's like, I've been waiting to try out my new 38 special, like a 38. I mean, you could die from a 38 special, obviously, but it's just like, it seems like a weird flex.
It really was, but yeah, it's 1990, my 38 special, daddy. I wanted to test this thing out here.
It was definitely not Deputy Rick's 44 Magnum with the mail-away laser sight from Friday the 13th, Part 6.
It was not.
Wherever the red dot goes, you bang. That was not the case here.
You can say that in a strip club, too.
This is also true.
Yes.
But we had Jake. So we start out the movie with fucking A. Why the fuck? I don't know why you do that. Okay, we're fine.
Okay.
But Jake Jake and his son Hiram, they are taking out cars on the stretch of like a 2-lane highway, and they harvest the organs, and Jake sells them to Mr. Stone, who is played by Ray Walston from Picket Fences, and what else was he in? My Favorite Martian, of course. Like I said, Jake is an organ dealer, and he has a salvage yard. His son Hiram is the best, and he's played by Christian Hessler, who died like months before this movie was released on VHS, and he died of AIDS, which is his delivery, his lines through the whole movie make this movie actually bearable.
Yes. If you look at it from his aspect, like his delivery is it's very comical. It's like it's over the top hillbilly, and that's where I think where more of the comedy comes.
Oh
in.
God, yes.
Yes.
That he's constantly berating April. She's a slut. You dirty slut. You're a whore.
Yeah.
Like it's just the way the guy talks, and his little when anything happens to him is fucking amazing. Like he goes off the road, his car flips over. He gets, when he finally dies in the end of the movie, he runs into a logging truck, blows up. Right before he does, you hear which I think is better than the Wilhelm scream at this point. I might clip that and start using it in videos. Just his little yell. And then he's got the retarded brother Roy, which he never lets him forget. Roy, you retard!
You half-wit!
Half-wit! Oh my God! And then you almost feel bad for Roy.
I do. Honestly, Roy is like the sympathy.
He is the sympathetic character, the only one in this movie.
Yeah, it's not his fault.
No,
he doesn't know what he's doing.
No,
I'm convinced this guy doesn't know his ass from a hole.
All he wanted to do was read April, the book about the Pancake Family.
I want to read the book about the Pancake Family.
Right? Like, if you've never, so they have April. Now, we're jumping around here.
Yeah.
But they have April in Mama's old bedroom in the Pruitt house. And it's very weird, but, she's, like I said, wheelchair bound. Jake wants to fix her. This is his whole thing with kidnapping her. He takes organs from people he deems unworthy of them and gives them to people who he deems that have been served an injustice by society and life in general. So it's kind of like a Robin Hood when it comes to kidneys.
Yeah, we steal from the rich and give to the kidneyless.
Yes. And actually, when her brother Bobby gets taken by Jake and Hiram, you don't feel anything for him. Jake carries a chloroform rag in the same pocket of his coveralls that he has raw meat in for his alligator. So you're getting some raw meat and chloroform when he puts you to sleep, which they take Bobby's spinal fluid, and guest appearance by the dog barking. They take his spinal fluid and they're injecting it into April to make her walk, which oddly enough it works.
If any medical practitioners out there could tell us if that's really how that works, I would appreciate that.
Yeah.
I highly doubt that it is.
And we're not dispensing medical advice, YouTube. Please don't misconstrue that.
This is not medical advice.
No, but this is just from the movie. And it's hilarious that it's like, this is what we're going to do.
Yeah.
And the fact that you see his patients, and Jake is also somewhat of a preacher because he gives sermons while he's operating, and we get to see that he has Elvis Presley.
Yeah.
He has Elvis Presley.
Elvis is there.
Yeah. In the barn. Elvis is not dead. He's been in Jake Pruitt's salvage yard since 1990. Probably Tupac and Biggie are in there too now.
I couldn't see him.
I did not see them.
Yeah.
But we did get a cameo at the beginning from Evander Holyfield and Lou Duva.
This is back when Evander Holyfield had both ears, guys.
Yep.
Both ears.
Yeah, both were intact.
Yes.
He was the prize fighter at the fair, and somebody needs to step up and challenge the champ, and it's Hiram. And Holyfield is blindfolded. Yeah. Hiram comes in and he's kind of snapping his fingers in front of his face, and Duva's like, check him out, And Hiram just hauls off and decks him in the abs. And the guy's like, oh, wait a second, tough guy. He goes, all right, you ready? And Holyfield fucking hits him and just drops him. And everybody's laughing at him, and Hiram is so great because he gets up and he's like, you better not let me catch you around here afterwards, as he's wiping the blood off his face.
Needless to say, we don't catch him around there afterward. I think he knew what was going to happen.
Yeah.
So he's like, I'm not going to stick around for blood salvage.
Evander Holyfield's like, I'll take my fucking paycheck and I'll leave.
Yes.
Like, I don't know if Holyfield lived. I don't know why he keeps doing that. I don't know if Holyfield lived in Georgia or not, but like how they got Evander Holyfield, because he was
pretty big.
He was pretty big in 1990 still. So I don't know how they got him to agree to that, but it was fucking hilarious to see him show up in this just for that little bit part at the fair.
I'm curious to see how much money this movie would cost to make. And I want to see how much of that money they used to make the movie they had to use to pay Evander.
I would say a lion's share of the budget probably went to pay Evander Holyfield for that 5-minute cameo.
Oh yeah.
So yeah, they disable the Evans family's Winnebago by loosening the lug nuts. Tire falls off. That's how they get him. They tow him. Jake and Hiram have got it all set up. This is their scam. So Jake happens to be going down the road when John Saxon is walking, and that's how they end up back at the property. So John Saxon is the second member of the Evans family to, get overtaken by them as he goes into the house to use the phone because Roy comes out and says,
Daddy says dinner's ready.
But Roy, they all pronounce it Diddy. Diddy says dinner. That's Hiram.
Diddy says dinner's ready.
Oh my God. And that is just being with the Diddy thing now. That just makes it even better.
Yeah.
So you get John Saxon, they chloroform him. And then the wife is next. She comes in the house. They chloroform her. She puts up more of a fight than he did.
She does, and I thought she was going to get out at one point. I thought maybe, I didn't think she was going to get back into the Winnebago, but I thought maybe, there would be some type of chase around the property. Maybe the alligator gets involved. Crocodile, I can't remember which one it was, but
either way,
I thought that the crocodile was going to get involved in that chase, but unfortunately, his salmonella-soaked chloroform rag.
That was her undoing.
That was.
Because she did run out the door and the gator was right there at the bottom of the stairs or whatever.
It was the back door.
She ran to the back door. And I don't know if that's symbolic of anything. Could be. But and
she never sees it coming.
No, that's what she said. And chloroform rag to the mouth. Brett Favre sees the prat with her husband. But no, so you've got Bobby's gone now. Bobby's done. You've got mom and dad are now chloroformed and out. Mr. Stone comes over, and it's funny because he goes in there. He goes, "Are they unconscious?" And he goes in to check them out, and she moves, and he freaks out.
Yeah.
And so they end up taking her eyes.
Yeah.
John Saxon's hooked to a bunch of machines. They just don't give a fuck about Bobby. They do show in a panning shot his head in a jar.
Yeah.
So we know he's dead, which they were like, whatever, we don't fucking care.
Honestly, there's one point where it's like, they don't give a fuck about this guy.
They make no mention of him being gone, and he's gone. The elapsed time would probably be like an hour.
Yeah, he's the first one gone.
Yeah, he goes exploring, and then they capture him, and they're just like, after a while, there was like a one line. She's like, "I wonder where that boy is."
No, they don't. They don't wonder where that boy is.
They never knew.
They
didn't care. So you get down to the point where you've got April is walking, unbeknownst to everybody. She kayfabes like she's not walking. We do have a really creepy scene where he undresses her.
Yeah.
Jake does, and he takes her into his bedroom.
Yeah.
And that's when Roy comes in for the second time, and
he's got his book.
He's got his book. She coaxes him in, and she fucking clubs him over the head with a statue.
Yeah.
She stands up. And he's like, "You can walk!" And she's all like knock-kneed wobbling and just wham! Hits him in the fucking head and down he goes.
Yeah.
And you are led to believe that Roy's dead. Jake comes in and he doesn't notice that she just covers him up with laundry because let's face it.
The whole room is just a fucking sty, man.
It's fucking disgusting.
It's awful.
When he rips her off the bed, she pulls the sheets down and there's Mama dead in his bed. The fucking corpse is there, well, the skeleton anyway.
He really took till death do us part.
He took that
to the max.
Way too literally.
Yeah.
But so you got, let's see, what else? So Bobby's gone. Mom and Dad are gone. She tries to, she gets out, and you have the scene in the barn.
Yeah.
With Dad is on the table. They've got tubes running in and out of him. She frees the mom, we see she's blind, and they escape in the Winnebago, which
is now magically fixed.
They fixed it. They're like, "Oh, we're going to kill these people." I guess they thought, we could have this Winnebago for ours.
Yeah.
And so they fixed the wheel, and April and Mom take off in the Winnebago, and Hiram is chasing them in his
Gran Torino.
He had a Gran Torino with a Confederate flag push bar on the front of it with spikes on it. That's how he knocks cars off the road.
Yeah.
Which I don't know. That pisses me off. Which Hiram uses this thing to try to knock the Winnebago off the road, but she runs him off the road once, flips over, comes back. Oh, I forgot to mention she lit Jake on fire.
Yeah.
She lit Jake on fire.
Now, mind you, that's when they took her into the barn.
Yep,
because I think they were going to end up slicing her open.
Yep, they were going to. She was ungrateful for what Jake had done for her.
Yeah.
So they were going to cut her open, and no, she grabs like a candle because, like you said, he's like a Civil War era doctor.
Yeah.
And it's like a kerosene lamp.
Yeah, it's what he uses to sterilize his tools.
Yep, and throws it at him. He's on fire. He runs out. We don't see him. So now we fast forward. We're in the Winnebago, and Dad has helped hold Hiram back so Mom and April can get out. They're in the Winnebago. They run Hiram off the road, think he's gone. He comes back the second time, and he runs into a logging truck, and that's Hiram. He's dead. And he's dead, explodes, and then we think it's safe, and out from under the back seat where a blind mom is laying comes the charred remains of Jake, who's not dead. He is just very, very, very... He looks like a bad steak at this point.
He really does. Like, you can see the whites of his eyes and all that stuff. It was pretty bad, guys.
Which the effects for that were not bad.
I
will say that. For a cheap movie with a shit budget, like, what they did do practical effects-wise was pretty good with him.
I won't complain about any of the effects. Like,
no!
Because, like, for 1990, those effects were pretty good.
Yep.
Like, even, like, when you go back to the barn and you see that one girl that's hooked up and's got that, like, long tube running out of her mouth and whatnot, like, even that was good. I was like, I have zero problem with the effects of the movie. It's all based on the story.
It's the story and the writing and the acting.
It's all,
some of the acting. Some is better than others.
Yeah.
But, so Jake comes walking up to the front of the RV, and she did what Court should have done in Friday the 13th, Part 6, jams the fucking brakes.
Yes.
Goes through the window, gets back up, fucking runs him over, and then you see the back tires going over him. April and Mom leave. We think there's a happy ending. But we see him laying in the middle of the road. Up comes the tow truck, Jake's old tow truck. And we're like, who the fuck's driving this thing? We see somebody get out. We don't see who. We see them pick Jake up and put him on the passenger seat. And we see a hand starting the truck back up, putting in gear. Who is it? It's not Hiram. It's Roy. Roy survived, and he says, "Don't worry, Dee Dee. I'm going to fix you up."
I think my favorite part about that is how Roy had the wherewithal after getting up to bandage his own head.
Yes, because he's taped up. His head is like, he's got a wrapped around his head. So he bandaged his head up, which they thought he was dead. They were made to believe Roy was dead. And Roy drives away in the tow truck back to the salvage yard with Jake in the passenger seat, where he's like, I can fix you. I'm a special person.
He is.
Very special.
He gets a pep talk. He gets a pep talk from April.
Yep.
Because if we flash back to the beginning of the movie, one of the things she talks about, everyone has a handicap and everyone has a talent and all this stuff. And then she gives him that same speech.
Mm-hmm.
And therein lies how he thinks he's a special person.
Yep.
And he can do whatever he wants.
So he's going to fix Diddy up. And he's going to become a rapper and would go on to... Never mind.
I don't think he really fixed Diddy.
I don't think he fixed Diddy.
No.
But, so it was like open for a sequel that we never got, thankfully. Because, like I said, the director of this one, he just up and disappeared. He had 2 screen credits, and that was it. The same thing with the other writer. You had a lot of the cast, like... Ralph Pruitt-Vaughn that played Roy, he was never in anything else. Christian Hessler had one other role. Like I said, he was dead before this movie released. But yeah, I mean, Lori Birdsong, April went on to do some other movies. Jake Pruitt, his character, actor Danny Nelson, had a long filmography, as did Ray Walston, John Saxon, obviously. What's her name? Laura White that played Pat Evans. She really didn't do anything else, but... Yeah, there's very little that exists online about this movie.
Probably for good reason.
Yeah. But I remember renting this as a kid and watching it on satellite afterwards, and it would pop up randomly. But this has been one of my favorite offbeat horror movies for 34 years, like since I saw this as a 10-year-old.
I was years old when I found out that this movie existed, so...
How to get here? I was like, we got to shoot a review of something. We got to watch a movie. What movie? Blood Salvage. What's that? Don't worry about it. We'll just watch it.
I said, you son of a bitch.
But yeah, I if you could get your hands on a copy, it is on YouTube. Fucking A. The entire movie is on YouTube. There's like 4 or 5 different channels that have it uploaded, so you can watch it for free.
Yeah.
And we've watched it on the channel like 2 or 3 years ago, so we do have like a commentary track out there for it. But yeah, this was a fun watch with Loudy.
It was.
This
it was very
this
fun
was
watch.
fun. So that's our Blood Salvage review, gang. Thank you for tuning in. And later tonight, we will be going over to watch Super Shogun Pro Wrestling by my boy Jared. He used to be on the wrestling podcast we did here back in the day. And we're going to check that out. And I'm sure we'll shoot some footage over there tonight and probably upload that later on. So thank you, everybody, for tuning in. If you haven't subscribed yet, you guys know what to do. I'm not going to go through the spiel. Thank you to all my channel members, everybody, the casuals. That's it, gang. I'm Etep Okuyan from the Place to Be Reviews. Me and Coach Loudy, we've been here with all yous. If we don't see you, have a great day, a pleasant tomorrow. We will catch you on the next one.